Welcome back to Transforming Mind to Transform Your Life Radio Podcast and Television Show. I'm your host, like this Myrna, and sitting in the guest chair today is Janna Johnson. Janna and I are going to be talking on the topic overcoming adversity and rising from the ashes. Janna is a overcomer. So, she's gotten into this space. She helps women overcome adversity. The Bible says is not when trouble, if trouble comes, but when trouble comes. And a lot of times, if we won't gone through something, then it becomes a topic to help, right? But I'm looking forward to the conversation. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Myrna. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. All right. Many guys, let me give you guys a brief introduction. Janna Johnson is a #1 best-selling author, mindset expert, and holistic epiphany. After overcoming chronic Lyme disease and healing herself in 2014, Janna learned the power of food as medicine, gut health, and the power of mindset. That led her into becoming a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, focusing on gut health. Janna's your marriage ended in ultimate betrayal and her third flattering heartbreak. And Kimberly said being a full-time mom, seeing her kids 80% of the time. And I know that that can eat the rock because she's talking about, not having her kids for Thanksgiving holiday. Anyway, this is a period of personal growth that learned Gideon how to overcome and batter limiting beliefs and to change her mindset. So Janna, we are definitely an overcomer. So I want to start off our conversation today by I think, you have to created yourself the whole time. Lyme disease, heartbreak from divorce, and all the other things you had to go through probably not on the side of. So how did you develop and overcome your mindset? Do you think it's childhood? Do you think it's just the school of hard knocks? Why did you get there?
That's a great question, Myrna. You know, I believe that it was the adversity that took me there. I don't think that that necessarily has to happen. I've always been kind of a tough cookie, so to say, a tomboy growing up. And, you know, but I'm also a very sensitive person. And I think that what happened is Lyme disease, especially, really, really brought me to my knees. I didn't know a human could even be that sick. And when you're that sick, you're that desperate, there was nothing else I could do. There was no known cure. There was no set protocol. And I was contemplating taking my own life to escape the emotional and the mental pain from the horrific symptoms that Lyme caused. And it was in that moment with my battle of chronic Lyme disease where I decided to say, I got to fight this. I need to do this differently because I've been listening to the doctors. I've been listening to the naysayers. There's a lot of negativity about Lyme disease and it wasn't doing anything for me. And I have 3 kids, but at the time, my 2 oldest now are my 2 little babies. And they needed their mom back. And so I think, Myrna, that it was in that moment, and I discussed it in my book. It was a very pivotal moment where I decided to say, I can get well. I didn't know if I could. I do believe that when the hard times come knocking on our door, that's when free will comes in. And you either stay in the victim mindset, but in the victim mindset, healing and overcoming is not a possibility. And I decided to go down the dark unknown path, right? There was no set path before me. It was dark. I had no idea if I would overcome, but I already knew what that other road offered, and I was getting worse. And so I decided to believe in the impossible. I decided to become my own wellness advocate. And And I just gave it everything I could. And I believe the universe sometimes answers us very quickly when we choose that path. That's where you learn all the tools that were sent in that adversity. That's where you learn them so that you can become who you're meant to be.
I really talking. I was going into my mental ringing in what exactly is my Lyme disease. And then I recalled that I had an interview years ago with a gentleman that talked about he had Lyme disease and he can adapt in one day and fell. He get Lyme disease into your muscle system. And he was there for like 3 days before someone found him. He hurt at once again and all that stuff. So for someone that's listening and doing, let's put some context and conversation. What is that? And I know Lyme disease comes from a kid, I think, right? So tell us briefly, what is Lyme disease? What were your symptoms? And what was one of the first, what was generally what you did? I know you mentioned like gut health in your bio. What was the path forward that you took to say, you know what, I'm done with being sick. I'm going to become my own advocate.
Absolutely. Lyme disease is primarily caused by a tick. And a lot of people, I live here in Texas, Central Texas, and a lot of people don't even know that there's that kind of tick here. And there is. We have deer ticks everywhere. And they're tiny little things. They look like a little bitty freckle. And most of the time you don't even know that you have been bit by a tick. Only 30% of people that have been officially diagnosed with Lyme disease, only 30% of those ever develop a bullseye rash. I actually did, but at that time, I didn't even know what Lyme disease was. And I kind of had a mentality of like, well, it doesn't hurt, doesn't itch, it'll go away. Well, that part did go away. The rash did. But 6 months later, my life fell apart. And Lyme disease is a little corkscrew shaped bacteria called Borrelia burgdorferi, and it burrows itself deep into your tissue, and then it forms it forms this little bubble around it, and it's really hard to get penetrated by antibiotics when it becomes chronic Lyme disease because that biofilm has been developed around it. And so for me, by the time I found out I had chronic Lyme disease, it'd been 18 months. Now, for me, my symptoms were mostly neurological. So I had really, really bad brain fog, which is inflammation of the brain. So bad it created derealization. I had severe depression, confusion, memory loss, severe panic attacks. I also had heavy metal toxicity, horrific gut issues, hypothyroidism, anemia. The list goes on. And my body was just falling apart. Lyme disease had just taken over. And I tried the antibiotics. I tried the Zane protocol. I tried everything I could through functional and conventional medicine, and nothing was helping. And 80% of your immune system is in your gut. And so when your gut health is out of whack, so is your immune system. So is your brain health. Most of your neurotransmitters are produced in your gut. And so when I decided, like I discussed a minute ago, when I decided to take my health into my own hands, it was at that moment where the disease was so bad that I was about to take my own life. And so I realized I got to approach this differently. And so what I did is I started to just diet. At the time, I wasn't a nutritionist at all. And this is what led me down the road to becoming a nutritionist. I dived into all about food and gut health. I learned that sugar feeds all diseases. So I'm either feeding disease or fighting it with every bite of food. So I starved the disease out. I didn't eat any sugar. I ate a very clean keto diet. And I also took essential oils that would break through that biofilm and kill the bacteria. At the same time, I had to do a lot of work on my lymphatic system, which is your detoxification system, because I had to get the disease out and I had to get all the nasty bacteria out and its toxins. And it wasn't easy. I didn't have anyone holding my hand through it. I just kind of figured it out on my own. But I started to feel better for the first time ever when I began doing that. And eventually, I completely eradicated it from my body. I healed my gut. I got off a thyroid medication I was told I'd be on forever. And it's been 10 years since I have taken any medicine and 10 years since I've been well.
That's amazing. Yeah, there was interview the other day that I looked like joined, and it was called a interview that I did from him, and he had a series called Food Medicine. And food is always meant that you can cure cancer, you're talking Lyme disease, you can cure so many things without food. The food makes us sick and the food can also make us well. So it's amazing that but yeah, I mean I know that you had to be really sick, to contemplate suicide because you were a mother at the time. And that's a hard thing to keep thinking about when you know that you're taking it. But yeah, so you got your strength from overcoming Lyme disease, overcoming matter greatly. You got your confidence. You were able to cure yourself and get it on your own. That's beautiful. And then, I'm not sure how many years after you had superwoman already mentality. And then your husband, betrayed you after 14 year marriage. You had to dig deep again and bring those, the things that you learned from battling one disease. But you also said a heartbreak. So what did you add on top of that? On top of what you learned from overcoming Lyme disease to help yourself through a divorce?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, I after going through Lyme disease, and so to answer the question, um, 2014 is when I completely eradicated Lyme from my body, and I was married to my ex-husband at the time, and we got married in 2008, and so 2000 and let's see, it was about 2019 when everything started to happen in that marriage. So that it had been over 5 years. And, at that time, I didn't even know what a narcissist was. I thought a narcissist at that time was just like someone who's like male chauvinist, egotistical. And that's not at all what it is. So I didn't even know that I had been kind of living with that sort of manipulation for so long. And when, you know, uh, us women have a very strong gut, and I had a very strong gut feeling that he was being unfaithful. I did not have proof, Myrna. I didn't have any reason to think it, but I felt that in my gut. And when us women get that feeling and you don't have proof of it, there is a reason that your gut feels that, and don't ignore it ever. And, someone can make you feel crazy for thinking it or tell you you're insecure, you know, but my gut wasn't wrong. And there was really no reason I should have had that feeling. That was nothing that I had personally ever experienced in that marriage or even knew that was going on. But I couldn't ignore that gut feeling. And I did ask, right? I asked him, and he told me I was crazy. It was all in my head. So, at this time I have 3 kids now, and my youngest was just a little bitty one at that time. And about 6 months after that, I saw proof. I wasn't looking for it. I saw it, and and I confronted him about it. And he said, "Well, what do you expect me to do? She's a ray of sunshine. You're just negative all the time." And I was floored. I was floored that somehow his infidelity was my fault.
That's what narcissists do. You call it right. Yeah, they threw it right back at you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I was like, wow. And again, I didn't know he was a narcissist or really what it was. And I was just like, Are you serious? Well, he was good. Can I tell you what? There was a minute where I was thinking, maybe I should be. Maybe I'm not positive enough. Maybe it's me, right? So when that marriage really started to fall apart, which it did as soon as I saw the proof, he just completely stopped even trying to hide it. And my heart completely shattered. I had 3 kids. I was homeschooling them at the time. I was 50% owner of the companies that my ex-husband and I owned. So I did the all the accounting work. And I absolutely every single day had to somehow put a brave face on for my kids, try to look like my face wasn't going to crack as I tried to smile. And it was absolutely misery. And I remember there was a particular moment, and I talk about this in the beginning of the book where I just had to leave. I told my mom, I asked her to watch the kids. I just told him it's the first time I didn't ask for approval in the marriage. Okay, can I go out of town and actually do something for myself? I just said, hey, I'm going to Oklahoma. There was nothing in Oklahoma. And that's why I wanted to go there because there was nothing. And I take this 9-hour drive by myself. And I got overflowed with emotions of what forgiveness was. Now, at that time, I thought forgiveness meant what you did to me is okay. But that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for yourself. Forgiveness is when you take your power back and say, you hurt me once, but I'm not going to carry that with me and let you hurt me every day thereafter. And I realized I needed to forgive him. I needed to forgive all of the people from the past, myself. And this was the pivotal moment, Myrna. So Lyme disease was a pivotal moment or a catalyst for me to become who I'm meant to be. Fast forward about 5 years later, and this infidelity, narcissistic manipulation, abuse, and divorce was the final catalyst necessary for me to truly step into my purpose. Now, again, that was via free will because I had to choose that. I could have stayed the victim, but where was that going to get me, right? So I go to Oklahoma for a week. I wanted to go somewhere where there was nothing, there was no one. I had nothing to do. There was no TV. It was just me with myself, a whole lot of screaming and a whole lot of crying. And this was really where Janna started to put myself back together. And the beautiful thing about being completely broken is you get to put yourself back together, but you get to do it differently. And that was the beginning of, I poured myself into therapy. And that's when I learned what narcissistic abuse was. And it was probably about a year to a year and a half after that where, the divorce happened. And it took a long time to really, really do that healing. When I say a long time, I mean, it's a few years, but healing, I don't think that healing ever ends. I think that healing it has different layers of it, right? If you get a really bad wound, you always see the scar and it always reminds you of the pain, right? And so this was a different beast than Lyme disease was because I didn't think that I could ever hurt anymore or go through anything more difficult than Lyme disease. But this was because this was an emotional, mental pain that involved me trying to protect my babies. And as a mom, sometimes you feel absolutely helpless when you can't protect them. And, I put up with things I never thought I would put up with for my kids. But at the end of the day, could I have kept that family together? Possibly. Would I have been happy? No. I would have been absolutely miserable. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't have that book. And my kids wouldn't see their mom truly happy going after her dreams. And how can I tell my kids they can be anything they want to be if I can't even do that myself? So, long-winded answer.
Well, I love it. I love it. We call probably Corey, well, the people that are listening and watching can see themselves in your story and be empowered, right? And that was the perfect answer because I wanted to know what you put on top of the first layer of fighting monthly. You're right. Emotional pain, like there's something that says heartbreak is like someone hitting you over your head with an axe, and they just keep on hitting head, and there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, heartbreak is the worst pain. And you're right. There's no escaping it. Right. So I mean, when you're hurting physically, you can take a pill, you can get antibiotics or whatever. But so yeah, seeing that the pain, and then as a mother, you're probably on the fence. Should I leave? Should I stay? Should I do this to my kids? Is my kids better off with their mom and dad together? But I would probably you made the right decision because what that kind of relationship does, you up the kid forever. They have a lifetime of messed up when parents stay in bad relationships. Because the kids can feel the energy, they see the courting, they see the mom unhappy, they see the dad unhappy. So yeah, even though it's hard for you now to have them keep similar time or whatever, I absolutely don't know what that does to kids. I don't know. There's no research in that, but I know of. But I do know that when the keep her in a home with a bad relationship, did not give them up the life. So, kudos to you for, you know, I love what you say, free will. You decided. You decided that no, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm going to have my freedom. I'm going to take my power back. Like, I can do better I can do on my own. And I had lots of interviews where women say that, oh my God, who am I going to be without my husband? How am I going to survive? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And they did it and they came out better on the other side because, yeah, if you are going to step into your purpose, these are the things that prepare you for your purpose, right? So that's really good. So, you learn, you become a functional nutritionist therapist. You wrote a book. I'm not sure. Are you coaching women on overcoming, or are you a coach?
Am I a cook?
Coach.
Well, oh, a coach. Yes. I'm an integrated nutrition health coach. I was like, am I a cook? Well, I wouldn't put a cookbook out there, but I'm sorry. I have Thanksgiving going on. Uh,
Only, but you're cooking, right? No. Yeah, you're helping. Not,
I don't know if that book would get published.
I got it. So that's beautiful. Now, one of the things, you say is that you teach women to find their voice who are miserable in marriages when or recently divorced, and how to heal and become the best version of themselves. So, what did you learn from your two major experiences that you pass on to women to help them find their voice?
Yes, I love this question, Myrna, because I'm like you, where empowering women, it it brings me joy. I mean, it just that's the fire burning inside of me because I feel that I feel that women easily succumb to peer pressure. Women easily succumb to this society idea of what perfection is or what a woman should be. And that's just not any way to live your life. And just because you're a mom, that doesn't mean that you're defined by that. Just because you're a wife, that doesn't mean you're defined by that. You can be more than one thing. And Our kids need that. Our kids need to see their mom step into their power. I have, like I told you earlier, I have 3 kids, and one of them is my daughter, and I would absolutely never want to see her just stay stuck. I never want to see her stay stuck in a miserable relationship or a miserable marriage or just stuck in life. And you said something a minute ago, which was we get scared and we can't see our life outside of that marriage. And that's exactly how it was for me. And for any woman out there who is in a narcissistic abusive relationship, then 100% that man is definitely going out of his way to make sure that you rely on him. That's one of the things that narcissistic men do is they want you to have their kids. They want you to be a stay-at-home mom. They're also going to throw it back into your face so they can say, I provide for you. I do all this. And that is part of the scheme. It's part of the game. And and I fell for that for a long, long time. But that's what they want. They don't want you to rely on anything else because at the end of the day, a narcissist is just a insecure bully. They are one of the most insecure people in the entire world. And for me, and that's exactly what he did to me, right? Like I told you before, we owned some businesses together and I was a stay-at-home mom. I homeschooled my kids. I mean, where am I going to go, right? Where are you going to run off to? Nowhere. When I began, in fact, right before I learned about the infidelity, I had actually, that's when I went and became a nutritionist. And I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back now, I realized I was finding my power. I was starting to become independent, and that threatened him. So he needed a narcissist is like a virus. They use your body up, and then they got to go find a new host for a new supply. And so that's what happened. And so for any woman out there, trying to find her authentic voice, um, you need to stay true to who you are. And, this goes past just a miserable relationship. I see women in social settings who feel that because they're a woman, they need to behave a certain way. And I'm like, no, because you're a human, you need to behave a certain way. Okay. You need to carry yourself a certain way because you're a human. But all of those things that you find are flaws, those are your uniquenesses. That is your authentic footprint that no one else has. And you need to stay true to who you are. You need to follow your passion. Okay? It's not stupid. And yeah, maybe there's 1,000 other people doing it. I'm not the only nutritionist in the world. I'm not the only book writer in the world, but I'm the only one that has my voice. I'm the only one that has my wisdom, and I'm the only one that can say things the way I say it. You and I, you and I can each talk about a mindset, but we're not going to say it the same.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's actually a good jumping off point for mindset. I looked in your social media page and you had a lot of posts about mindset. So, what are the ingredients of an overcoming mindset? So, how do you develop that in your story?
Absolutely. An overcoming mindset does not mean that you're always strong. An overcoming mindset is having resilience, it's having consistency, it is having unwavering faith because faith means you have to believe in the unknown and the unpromised. Um you have to have a lot of self-discipline because it is not easy to do the inner work. It is not easy to heal. It's much easier to stay in that safety comfort zone, but that's also the victim mindset. And to be an overcomer, you're going to have to you're going to have to do a whole lot of work for a whole lot of things that aren't quite promised. But it's really just about at the end of the day, it's about not giving up. It's about going it's about going after what you believe in. It's about fighting for yourself. But if I had to tell you one answer, Myrna, for how to be an overcomer, it's all going to start with self-acceptance, self-love, self-approval. And when you do those things and you have true confidence and you create your own happiness, you don't need to fill any sort of emotional void from an external source, because those are things that only you can fill yourself. And when you do that, no one can take it from you.
That's a beautiful answer. I asked the question, mindset is my space. So I asked the question, and I like that you said it, you said something differently. But I love that, you know. The way I approach mindset is change the way you look at a thing and the thing you look at will change, right? So, but I love the way you approach it is resilient, right? It is believing in yourself. That that's always the end goal, because in order for anyone that's doing anything, male, female, kid, anybody, do anything phenomenal, is that they have to believe that they can do it. Once they have doubt and somebody tells them that they can't and they believe it, then they're not going to make the effort. They're not going to get up every day and type it. You know, belief in yourself and faith, right? If you have a promise, you say, hey, God says this is what I can be and this is what I can do. And I know that He will guide my path, even though I don't see it right now. Martin Luther King said, when you're going up the staircase, you can only see the next staircase. You don't see the rest. So, you know, one step forward, believing that you'll get there. So that is a great definition of overcoming. And it would circle it back to your story. When you went away to Oklahoma and you sat down and did your deep inner work, I'm sure you came out by saying you are capable. You are enough, right? You can do it with or without a husband. And obviously you've done it. So that's beautiful, right?
Yes, and it wasn't easy. It sounds so easy just to say, I did this, I did that, and here I am. But I'm going to be honest with you. I was absolutely terrified. But I was more scared of not doing the inner work. I was more scared of not chasing my dreams than anything. I I was more scared of of staying in that stagnant, mediocre life. And at the end of the day, we have to live with regret, right? So you have to ask yourself, what will I regret the most? You're never going to regret going after your dreams, and you're never, ever going to regret becoming a better you. I am not completely healed, but I will continue to heal. I don't know everything, but I'm going to continue to learn, because the moment that you say you know everything, that's when you put a cap on yourself and you don't learn anything else. And um there was a moment, after the divorce, and that's when I realized at that time I was already a nutritionist, hadn't written the book, and I was sitting outside. That's one of the ways I connect with nature, universe, God. I was sitting outside, and it hit me. It hit me what I wanted to do with my life and what I needed to do. I was like, I want to write that book I said I would write if I ever got well from Lyme disease. I want a podcast so I can share my story with as many people as possible. I want to speak on that stage. And when I had my kids back from their fathers, I sat there with them and I said, I need to ask y'all a question. And there was a time in my life where I would have felt dumb asking my kids, what do you think if mommy does this? And I said, this is what I want to do, but it's going to take me away from y'all a little bit. And they were so excited. Yes, mom. Yes, you got to do it. But I knew by telling them or asking for their approval, I knew that that meant they were going to hold me accountable and that I was going to go after it. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have anyone hold my hand. I had no connections. All I had was me and God. And the moment I said yes to myself, the universe said yes to me. The universe was waiting for me to say yes. But you have to do it yourself. No one else can do it for you. And here I am a few years later, and I look back at that moment I just described to you, and I'm proud of myself. And I used to never be proud of myself. I didn't love myself. I was my own worst critic. I picked myself apart. Every day I woke up, I looked in the mirror, and I beat my own self up. And that is no way to live, because the world's going to beat us up enough. You have to at least love yourself.
You know why you did that? Because you're living with a narcissist. And in order for a narcissist to connect with, they knock down your self-esteem all the time. Subtly. You probably weren't even aware of it. But the little snide remarks, things that they do, you know, the verbal one that you heard that was in your face when he said, "Oh, I'm cheating because you're so negative." But he might have looked at you wearing something one time and you don't look good, or tell you that you're a terrible mom, or something that internalized. That's what they do, because you're right. They need to keep you dependent on them, make you think that they are the light or whatever. So that was great. And I want to add something there. I was reading this book just yesterday, and the guy said something so powerful. Says that if you plant the seed, God will make the tree. So you said the universe is just waiting for you to say yeah. And as soon as you said yeah, then the universe got into action, probably sent you people, probably opened doors, probably inspired you. 'Cause that's what happened to me, right? When I say yes. But that was your seed. You planted the seed. You got to do something. You can't sit around and just play. You can't sit around and not do anything. You got to plant the seed. And the seed is action, or, agreement that you're going to do something. So you planted the seed. God made the tree. God created the miracle. And now you're part of yourself. You're doing several things, and you take a part of you. You pick yourself up from the ground, and now you're not flying as high as an eagle yet. You're getting there. Oh, so that's beautiful. I'm proud of you too. This is a great conversation. This is great. You know, I love this conversation. I love being able to tap into your spirit and tap into what your work, what you're doing. Because this is what when I use the word transform your mind, this is what we want to do. We want to transform your mind, transform your thoughts, right? Transform your life. And that's how you do it, right? By doing things differently and believing in yourself. So you just mentioned your book. It's got an interesting title. You know, it is, you plan, I mean, UNFSDK, your mind, right? So first of all, why did you come up with that, title? Um, and why did you write it? And what do you want, women or men to walk away with after reading?
Yeah. So, yeah, the title is a little bold and in your face, and that describes me. um, you know, I uh I I picked that title. It came to me very easily. And at first the book was actually going to be titled Shatter Your Limiting Beliefs to Become Who You're Meant to Be. And it's the subtitle. But I needed something that was short, that was bold, that made somebody walk past it and be, whoa. And it worked. No, it was because I felt for so long that when I realized, had my awakening, I realized that I had been, you know, kind of doing that to my mind, right? And I needed to undo it. And so that was the purpose of the title. And the color, the reason I chose lime green is because it's for Lyme disease awareness. This book was originally supposed to be just about Lyme disease. I made a promise with God when I was sick with Lyme disease. When I was in that pivotal moment where I told you I decided I had to do something different, I said, God, get me well and I will share it with the world. I will write a book. I will be an advocate. And when I met with my publisher and, that's what it was going to be about, didn't have a title yet at the time. And I was going through the book mapping process and this is what came out. It was supposed to just be Lyme disease and mindset. But this book came out and this book, Myrna, um, it was truly like a baby in the womb. It was like I was giving birth, but I was not only giving birth to that book, I was giving birth to the new me. And I did a lot of healing in this book because I didn't even realize I had so many limiting beliefs that I had shattered that I needed to. And I didn't know that this book was inside of me. And many of you listening, there is a lot of gifts, a lot of talent inside of you that you don't even realize. And you just got to keep taking those layers off and it's going to come uncovered. And this book is all about shattering your limiting beliefs, stepping out of your own way. I described what it's like, my environment growing up, so you can understand how the limiting beliefs were born, what it was like living with them, what it was like to break them and what I did, and what it was like now to live without them. And this book is for anyone, man, woman. I do have 2 chapters, 5 and 6, dedicated to Lyme disease. I am currently working on a second book that is just about Lyme disease and mindset. But I believe this book needed to come first, and I didn't know it was in me. But it was, and I wrote the book to be of service to others, not for anything else. And I think that when you do things to truly be of service to others, that is when you can help people the most.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Yes, I'm going to pick a copy. I love it. It's right up my field as far as litigating the mindset me, and, I didn't know a lot of mine, other than my 2 interviews. So I could learn about that as well. So yeah, I love, well, that's what I do. I read a lot of books. I'll get one myself. So that is amazing, Nana. That is, you know, a lot of people now do not believe in the higher power and God. Once you embrace that, so many things happen in your life because the connection have a flow. You can't see things all in your own power and do well. When you open yourself up to inspiration from the higher power, the universe, or, you know, the non-physical part of us, then all these things happen. So you didn't know that you had it in you, but your higher self poured it out of you. When I wrote my book, I would go walking and all the stuff will just pour down. And after my walk, I will sit and write because it just poured in. I love Wayne Dyer, and he gets thin. He could sit down at 3 o'clock in the morning and just get the download. Yeah, if you're going to write anything well, you need the universe, you need God, you need the Holy Spirit, you need an higher self to help you flow. So, and yeah, why does universe, Holy Spirit, and everybody help you to be of service? Because that's what makes it feel good. If you learn something, you know something, then you gotta share it. That's the plus.
Yes.
Quite a book. You gotta share it. It's amazing. Yeah, so beautiful, beautiful work, beautiful, you know, I want to call it ministry. It's not totally I call my work ministry, but it's not necessarily ministry. It's just helping people.
You're helping others. Yeah. I think that, I think, Myrna, to what you said, I think that, I feel that when you go through something so difficult and you overcome it, I feel like there's an unspoken promise that you now have to help others and show them the way. So yeah, it's a ministry in that sense, because you can't not share that. You have to help the other people. And I think that that's an unspoken promise that people must do anytime you've overcome something difficult. You don't keep that to yourself. You have to share it.
Sharing is part of the healing. He could bring things, when you poured out in chemotherapy, hard to, you wanted to go to a therapist and prepare and talk. When you pour out, you're healing. And then, of course, you're helping someone else. So that's amazing. I really enjoyed our conversation, Janna. The information. To tell our listeners now, where they can pick up a copy of your book, Be Honest, and Amazon. Tell us about your website, tell us about your community animal. And there is no mention here of your podcast, so you can also talk about
Yes, I have a podcast, Revive with Janna, and I probably should have just kept it Revive by Janna, but I wanted to change it up because you're going to revive with me. And I discuss all things like we discussed today: Lyme disease, mindset, nutrition, gut health, um, narcissistic abuse and relationships. And I also talk about, Myrna, I don't parent the same that I did before the healing. I believe that as a parent, if you don't, everything that you leave unhealed, all those fires that you choose to not go through, you leave burning for your kids. You leave that for your kids. And so I'm a totally different parent than I was before the healing, and I discussed that. And I'm really big on Instagram. That's I'm on all the platforms, but Instagram's my favorite. And yeah, I'm a podcast, and I try to speak as much as possible, and really just share my knowledge and inspire and motivate others and bring them hope.
okay. So what's your Instagram handle?
Revive by Janna.
Oh, Revive by Janna.
Yes.
Do you have a website?
That my website is revivedbyjanna.com. Everything is Revived by Janna except podcast. I decided to do Revive with Janna, and now I have no idea why.
Oh, I know why. By means you're teaching people with means that they're going with you. So I understand.
There you go. So you got it. You understand.
I got it. Yeah, that's amazing. All right. Listen, powerful conversation, powerful work that you're doing, Janna. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your story. I will have a summary of my conversation with Janna on the show page. It is myhelp.us. I will link out to her book, website, social media. So you can, if get it or something like that, you can have a social page and click on it. But definitely, if you are somebody that has had some adversity in your life, definitely go pick up a copy of her book. And understand how she did it. Understand the lessons that she learned that she's trying to pass on to you. Because, knowledge is very important. One of the books I've just decided to to have everything Jim Rohn, Everybody's been talking about Jim Rohn for the longest time. And I decided to go straight to the source. And basically he was saying that, we're in America, the land of the most powerful land in the world, and we are not reading books. We're not helping ourselves. We're not wealthy. We're not doing it. You know what I mean? But yeah, books are the way to grow. Books right away.
Yes.
And he asked people, how many books have you read in the last 90 days? You know, me, I read about a book.
Well, Myrna, I appreciate you so very much. And you know what? It takes a village, and I'm so honored to be a guest on your show. And you know, I hope to be helping as many people as you do one day. And you know, thank you for all that you do and for giving other people a platform like me to share. And you know, I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. I really appreciate you being on the show and sharing your information about mind and mindset. Basically, you know, the title of the work that I do, because it all starts there. It all starts there in your thought, in everything. So I love your title of your book. Yes. You know, of mine.
It's right. Hey. Yeah, I got it. We got to keep it PG.
That's amazing. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind. My guest today was Janna Johnson. And you were talking about overcoming adversity, Lyme disease, rising from the ashes, finding your voice, you know, and going after your publicly destiny. So I hope you enjoyed it. It surprise you. If you you know, if you want to leave a comment or encourage Dana on YouTube or you know, leave us a review of this conversation, you know, I would love that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Dana, for being on the show. And until next time, namaste.
Thank you.